New York, Irvine, Dallas. If you're in any of those cities, I'm coming to you to do the standing comedy. So
He's going to do the standing
comedy. So please go to fumiabe.com for tickets.
Korea right now is like huge for the dance culture and the dance careers. What they do is they source choreography just all overseas. They're basically just like, here's the song, here's the prompt, this is kind of the style we want it. We film the whole choreography as if we are the group. We just put like name tags on, you know what I mean? And we literally do the song and we just send it to them. And then like a couple weeks, months later, we're like, oh, the video's out. Oh, there it is.
Welcome to Cash Cuties, everybody's favorite personal finance podcast where we invite on guests to see if their wee-wee is thicker than the goblet of fire. I'm Fumi Abe.
And I'm Steffie Baik. I don't want to be connected to that. But anyways, let's keep going.
You read that book, Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire?
Yes, I have.
That's a thick-ass book. It's a thick-ass book.
If you're listening on your Apple Pod app, please leave a review, hit follow on Spotify, and sub to our YouTube channel for the video version of this podcast. All the links are available in the episode description below.
Quick shout out to our Dono Daddies. These are people who give us money on Patreon. What is Patreon? It is the best way to support this podcast. You can go to patreon.com/cashcutiespod. In exchange for your money/donation, you get bonus episodes and behind the scenes content. So if you want more of this, be sure to check that out. 2 people donated this week. Shout out to Lisa CK, $5. That is Louis CK's cousin.
Caroline K with $7.50. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And if you want a shout out on this podcast, we also give you a shout out. So go to patreon.com/cashcutiespod.
And please, I think it's so important that people leave us reviews.
Yes.
It means that we could get the attention of people from Apple,
Mr. Apple,
Mr. Apple, and Mrs. Spotify. And that gives us more opportunities to be able to make this show even bigger.
Yes, we want, like, we can get in their algorithm and get on their like top chart list and stuff like that. So if you don't have money, that's okay. If you can't donate, that's okay. But if you love this podcast, just if you have an iPhone, please give us a 5-star rating on the Apple Podcast app. And if you have a Spotify, you can leave a review on that too, and that really helps. And that's free. So please do that.
And it takes like literally a minute or 2.
2 seconds. You're literally listening to it. Just blop, blop, blop.
And
Take
it'd
care
be
of
a
that.
favor for us. Cuties.
Take care of it.
Okay.
Moving on. This is something I want to discuss you with this week. I like recently botched an opportunity to make $6,000. And I wanted to ask you just sort of about what you would have done in my situation. So it was a stand-up comedy show for OnlyFans. OnlyFans has like their own app on Apple TV where you can like watch original content. They're trying to become like Netflix kind of. Not as big as Netflix. I guess more like YouTube. Kind of like they have original content on there. I don't know what kind of stuff they have on there. It's not all porn related. This one's particularly a comedy show. And so what they're doing is they have comedians on. We all do like 10 minutes. They edit together and they put out like an hour episode each. And they had offered me $6,000 for like 10 minutes of stand up, which is really good. And there's no like exclusivity issue, so I can use that joke anywhere else. And my thinking is like, no one's gonna watch that anyway, so yeah, I'll do it. But the catch is, they've wanted me to make an OnlyFans, and I had to like agree to this thing where like for 6 months I have to like post about my OnlyFans account and the show and my set on the OnlyFans for 6 months, like multiple times a week. I have to do like 1 OnlyFans live every 2 weeks. 3 posts a week. It was just like a lot.
Wait, you're not getting paid more for that, or do you get money
from? It's part
from
of the $6,000.
Oh no.
And so like, what I did is like, hey, like this sounds cool. I'm down, but could we negotiate on some of the posting things? Like, could I do less?
Yeah.
And so I countered with like a slightly less involved offer, and then they said, well, clearly Fumi's not wanting to engage with their brand, so we were going to revoke this offer.
Wait,
so they took the opportunity away from
they actually
I went through my managers, and so they called me and they're like, hey, they actually took away the offer because they said that you weren't interested in engaging with the brand. But that kind of like pissed me off a little bit, because it's like, isn't that how negotiations work? Like, you could have said like, no, sorry, we can't do that. And then I would have been like, okay, cool, well then can't I just have more money? Or like, I would have done something, you know?
They thought that you just didn't fuck with them, and they're like,
I mean, in a
turned
way,
you down.
Right.
So what would you have now? Would you have taken it? Like if they brought it back now, are you willing to take the 6,000?
So similar to like what you were talking about with Minji last week, I asked my other comedian friends, and I said, "What do you do?" Because some of them have done the OnlyFans thing, and they said that some of them doubled down and said, "I'll post more if you give me more money." So a couple of them got like $11,000 to post more for 6 months.
Wait. So they negotiated? They just did it a different way.
But their negotiation is, I want to be involved with the brand even more. My negotiation was, I want to be involved less. That's what the issue was.
Interesting.
Because essentially, they're not giving you $6,000 for your comedy. They're giving you $6,000 for your followers, right? Because they want more people to go to OnlyFans and watch shit on OnlyFans. They're spreading. It's marketing. They're paying $6,000 for marketing. But for me to fucking post about it for 6 months, that's I'm getting jacked off.
What are you also going to be
jacked off, ripped off?
Ew. I feel like are you on this? Like what content would you be posting about on your OnlyFans? Like, are you like literally making jokes while jerking off into the camera? Like,
so
like
their whole thing is like you can post anything. So I already have a bunch of stand-up clips I post on Instagram. So they're like, you just post those. So I have like 100 of those. So I do have things to post and stuff, but like it was just like, I don't know. I just everybody's a little bit more precious when it comes to their like on Instagram feed and stuff, and I just like didn't want to like post about it so many times for 6 months.
It's too much, dude.
6 months is too much, right? Like maybe for like 1 month, maybe.
I don't think that's enough for $6,000 to be honest. But aren't you making money off of viewership? Like if someone subscribes to your OnlyFans too?
I could if I decide to charge. A lot of people just make it free, just to like meet the requirement, you know. So you could do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, just like I don't know. Is 6,000 a lot of money, or it sounds like a lot of money to me? And I, because that was my goal of how much I wanted to make per month, right, this year. And so yeah, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that. You know what you would have done, or just kind of your take on it.
I've definitely have said I want to take on, or I've been given opportunities and then I give them a different rate, and then they've never like revoked it.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like they've just been like, hey, this doesn't work out, and I'm like, all right, that's it. But sometimes immediately it's like I feel regretful that I even asked for the extra amount, because it was more so because I was like, I know what my standard is, but I'm down to lower the standard.
Yeah.
When it's like a company that I like.
I thought the whole point of negotiation is you get an offer and then you counter that because you're supposed to, and they either say yes or no, and you go from there. So I didn't think there was anything wrong.
No, I don't think so
me
either.
Countering. It's like, okay, if you don't want that, then just say no and let's keep talking. Like,
but maybe they're just so exclusive, right? Like they're at the top. There is nothing else like OnlyFans. So I guess in a sense they're holding their like standards up really high. But I never even thought about negotiating that way. The way that your friend did. So now I'm like
to lean in.
Yeah, lean in on it, because then they're like, I
money.
fuck with you. You're like, essentially, I fuck with you.
Yeah.
I fuck with you so much, I'm gonna give it to you even more.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but you just didn't even want to make the content anyway. So it's so much content anyway. Well, would you have taken his deal, the 11,000? No, right? It seems like no.
I don't want to like post that much. I don't know. I know like some people listening might be like, that's so dumb. You could post and make some money, but like, truly, this is gonna sound so stupid, but like Instagram, TikTok, like that is how I like maintain my fan base when I travel and stuff. And if I lose their trust by posting too much garbage, like by being like click here, if it's too much promo shit, they're gonna stop following me or like lose trust in my stuff. So that's what I was thinking about.
I would think
you know
that,
what I mean?
okay, if I didn't know about the deal and you did this and you didn't tell me any of this, I would be like, oh, he must be like in a place where he needs more money. Like there's a bit of a desperation, I feel, because I don't associate OnlyFans with like content outside of like more of a sexy thing.
Exactly.
So for me to be like, oh, is he all right? I guess for the commoner, maybe. Or maybe I just don't.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think it's a good thing you went with this, and you're going to get another opportunity. And now you don't have to worry about like having to post like 5 fucking times a week.
I know. Yes. Maybe it's good. All right.
No,
that's good to hear.
Okay.
Anyways, we're super excited for this guest this
Yes.
week. He's literally outside. We have to go get him right now. So we're super excited. So stay
He's
tuned
waiting.
and we'll see you guys in
See
just
you
a
in a
second.
So today's special guest is a dancer, the co-founder of KINJAZ dance crew, internet personality, that's what Google says, and multi-hyphenate. Please welcome to the show, Mike Song.
Hey, thanks for having me. Huh?
Thank you for coming on the show. This is crazy that you're here. You probably don't know this, but we are huge fans.
Oh.
And I used to watch you on America's Best Dance Crew when I was like 13 years old.
Oh, snap.
And it's insane that you're just like in my area right now. This is crazy.
Word.
You know what's funny? I have never, I'm sorry to all the other guests that's been on here. I've never heard him excited about a guest the way he was when
No
I said,
way,
when I
bro.
said,
Because
hey,
it was so, I hadn't like thought about you in a minute, you know what I mean? And she said Mike Song, and I'm like, the Mike Song,
I was
like the,
like,
the Nintendo Wii dance guy, Mike Song.
Damn, with the throwback.
Bro, like,
you know, I appreciate
You
that.
really, it's just so crazy because like I grew up in Ohio, and when I saw America's Best Dance Crews, you guys, shout out to Kaba Modern,
Hey,
shout out to Kaba Modern,
yo, all
and
these
Jabberwocky,
throwbacks,
we were like,
yes.
wait, why are they Asian? Like, why are they so cool? Because none of the Asians danced in Ohio. We were like, you know, going to bonfires and shit.
Yeah.
So we're like, this is crazy. And then I looked into it, and then I learned that like there's a whole like dance culture at like all the UC schools and all the West
Yeah.
Coast Asian kids all dance for fun or whatever.
and then like we recently actually met, but
Yeah.
I've known of you. We are UCI alumni.
Hey, yo.
Zot Zot.
But
You
even
guys-
more than
what is this?
that,
You guys
More
foxes?
than that,
Torrance. The
T-Town?
fact that we are like, because UCI, I feel like I meet a lot of UC Irvine, like
Okay.
Asians in our scene. But when
Yeah.
you brought it back to Torrance, I was like, I don't connect with a lot of people from Torrance, like
Yeah.
in our whatever this LA scene of
right?
whatever is. You know
There's
what I
not-
mean?
Sure.
I only
Yeah.
know Toki Monster. She actually she's from Torrance. Do you know her, the DJ?
Oh, yeah. I
she's
mean, I
great.
know I don't know her personally,
Right.
but I didn't know she was from Torrance.
She's also from Torrance, and she now lives in
Whoa.
this neighborhood as well, which is like
Whoa.
weird. It's very odd.
T-Town.
Yeah, T-Town. But yeah, there's not that many of us,
Yeah.
and it is like so specific. I feel like I already know you because of
It's a
that.
bubble. It's like this random bubble, especially like Asians, Koreans in
Yeah.
Torrance. Was
Koreans
like,
who dance in Torrance.
It's
There's like
like-
1,000 of them.
well, I guess now it's all different. The world's so different now. But
Yeah.
at that time, it was like, you know, that era.
It-
I forget.
yeah.
Are we same year as well?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So
Tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah.
We grew up at Hannamchin was the one
Yeah,
Korean market.
yes.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like the Korean
This is
market.
before H
Yes.
Mart.
This is before H
yeah.
Mart, and you know what? That was the original in Torrance. And the Koreans stood strong, and it's still going after 10, 15 years, because before that, it used to be a Japanese market, and then it was a Chinese market. Do you remember that?
Oh my God.
Was there? Oh, no. It was a CVS or something right next to it, right?
It was right next to it. It was a Save-Ons.
That's right.
That'd
That's
be funny if
right.
it turned into a CVS and we're like, nah, we're going to go back to Korean market. This ain't working.
Yeah, so
Oh my
that's
God.
awesome. But you went to like a better school. Like I went to Torrance High. You went to some it was
Well,
fancier. It was it West?
No, I went to South. But
Okay.
Torrance isn't Torrance the one where they film everything?
Yes.
Yours is the quintessential aesthetic of
Yeah.
the high school.
Oh,
like
I didn't know that.
90210, like
Buffy the Vampire
yeah,
Slayer.
So many things filmed at your high
a lot
school.
of,
yeah.
but it's like it's Hollywood. It's like fake beauty. It's like beautiful. It looks like an expensive school, but it's actually considered. They can't even. There's a Southwest North Torrance. There's no East Torrance. They call it Torrance, just Torrance.
Because you guys are
Okay.
the first.
I thought it was because it has the word East. They don't want to call it East Torrance,
Why?
but it has.
'Cause there's so
it's
many
like
Asians?
it's honestly like the poor Torrance school. I feel
Oh,
like maybe
interesting.
North.
Really?
Maybe,
Yeah, I was about to say, I
gonna
feel
say
like
wait,
North.
North is a
Yeah.
bit less. But that's because there's like other cities next to it.
Okay,
But
okay.
his is like the fancy, like fancy.
Really? I don't, know
yeah.
if South- I don't know if you call it fancy,
Fancy.
but it is on the cusp as well.
The
It's
cusp
'cause
of
it borders
Redondo.
Redondo and PV. And PV is
Oh.
like for anyone who
Yeah.
doesn't know, the Palos
These are
Verdes.
deep cuts. These are
Yeah,
California
yeah,
deep
yeah,
cuts.
yeah.
People are like, what the hell is PV and Redondo?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fancy high schools, what was your financial situation like growing up? You know, do you remember being young
Yeah.
and thinking about money? Like, were your parents doing okay? Tell us a little bit about
How
you grew up
right
and
to
money.
it. I freaking love your guys' podcast for that reason. It's just such a unique way to just cut right into
Yeah,
it. You know
yeah,
what I
like,
mean? That's the
that's your high
icebreaker.
school, dude.
So that childhood relationship with money, like that's hella strong.
Mad heavy.
Yeah. So I grew up, I would say like the trajectory of my parents was like, I'm very grateful for it. It was kind of like just like an upwards graph. So I grew up, I wouldn't say poor, but not wealthy for sure. And then like my dad owned, this was like early days where I didn't even know what my dad did yet. We were kind of still early immigrants. And then he got like a liquor store, and that was like the early days. And then once he like sold the liquor store and bought like a gas station, it was like, oh, we're gonna move to a slightly better part of the neighborhood. Actually, we literally moved upstairs in the same apartment, but it was but it had
like a status
but
thing?
it had one more bedroom.
I love
so
that.
it was like, oh, a little bit of an upgrade.
No, your dad, like, he's flexing on his neighbor. He's like, yo, well, we're up here now. So-
Literally, we just moved upstairs.
That's really
He's
funny.
like, we're moving on up.
yeah, literally. Like, that's what he thought he meant by moving on up.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
the Americans keep moving on up. We must go upstairs now.
But literally, it was that feeling of like, I felt like we were, I kind of felt like we were poor when I was little, even though looking back, I mean, we weren't crazy poor, but I felt like we were poor when I was young. And then like, I felt like a slow level up. And so I got to see like my dad was the one working full time. And so I saw his kind of like progression.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like the second step was like we moved to like a one more bedroom, same apartment upstairs.
Yeah.
Same city. And then there was like a really big shift in his business. And then we moved to Torrance. And then that was like when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, I was like, oh, snap. But I feel like I got to experience the level up. So I'm grateful for that because I'm like, oh, snap. I'm seeing these different chapters.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess
that.
relationship with money was like, I don't know. I've been listening to the pod and I'm like getting context of how everyone speaks about it. I don't feel like I had like it was kind of just there. I wasn't thinking about it like as if it was a huge issue. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But it's not something that like my parents like impressed upon me either. They were more like impressing upon me like school and the idea of success, but never talking about
The money.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Can I just say, also, you witnessing your father moving up like that,
Yeah.
was that like incredibly inspiring, if not then, now, like later in life? Because I think there is something about like, a lot of people, they say like, oh, I watched my parents struggle.
Yeah.
But I don't hear a lot of people say like, oh, I watched my parents have nothing and then they built this whole empire.
Yeah.
And especially for like first or second gen immigrant kids, I feel like that would do something to your brain, maybe as you get older. And
I think
about-
at my age now, I'm definitely inspired by it. At the time, there was like lawsuits involved. Like there was so many things that he was going through that was so stressful for him that I didn't even realize we were leveling up so much. I mean, I did just in terms of like moving and even just like the neighborhoods we were in. But as far as like the happiness levels of my parents, it wasn't like we're getting happier. I'm like, oh, he's just getting more and more stressed. So I didn't really see that clarity until now. And now obviously my dad's in a different place now, but at that time when I was growing up, it was still just a lot of stress. He was like leveling up, but also like going through so much more. I don't think I saw it getting more comfortable for my dad or my parents. It just felt like he was taking on more
responsibility.
and so we were getting more, but at the time I didn't feel like super inspired. It wasn't until afterwards that I was like, damn, he did that. Like,
Yeah.
Did you ever
Yeah.
have to like help out at work or
Yeah,
you did?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
At the
you-
gas station and
that's a-
stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even honestly, still, when my dad goes traveling now,
You gotta.
yeah. I'm gonna keep a hundo. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll keep a hundo.
This is crazy. Mike Song from America's Best
No,
Dance
no, no,
Crew.
for real.
He's working part time with the
Wait,
goddamn
holy
beach.
shit.
I'm not necessarily working, but straight up, like when my dad, because my dad he refuses to retire, and so when he goes traveling, like he just needs someone to like handle bank stuff.
Okay.
And so like I'll just pop in and like do basically like deposits and
Oh,
like
I see,
just
I
get
see, I
that.
see.
Just and it's like the minimum amount so that like things are like okay while he's gone, because he's
Yeah.
gone sometimes for like 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
I ask this thing? Okay, so recently, last week, for some reason, I decided to tell my mom how much I make and where my money is, different areas, so that if like I die, I mean, knock on wood, if something happens,
for
I'm like,
sure.
I felt like it was really weird for me to do that because my parent, like when I was growing up, no one told me how much they made. Like she didn't tell me how much she made, or like it was always like a secret.
Yeah.
Do you know? I know you're doing the bank stuff, and you're just a deposit boy. But does he? Do you know? Actually, has he?
Yes, I know.
You know how much he makes.
Yeah,
you know all this stuff. He's set that. Did you know that for a while, or is this like a new thing as an adult?
As an adult, I think like my relationship with my dad has totally evolved, even in terms of like how he knows I am a responsible ass fucking adult now. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, it wasn't like that for a long time, especially as a dancer. It wasn't like that for a long time.
Bro.
But then but now he knows what the freak is up. And so yeah, we have like very, very candid conversations about all
I love that.
That's really cool. Did he teach you about like money? Like, did he tell you what his like philosophy on money was?
I wouldn't say he like when it like kind of, he'll have his things that he like repeats to me, but I feel like that's not where I learned it. I actually kind of, because I have my own trials and tribulations like with my own companies, I feel like I grown my own opinion, and then once I got there, that's like when me and my dad started like, and once my dad realized like, okay, he's doing fine, it turned into having more real conversations. And then now I'm kind of like, oh, I don't even agree fully with but it's not like, you know, it's just more like, okay, that's your preference. And like, I don't have to do it like that. But
this is fascinating because I do think that if you grew up here, it's very hard to talk about like investments and stuff with the older Asian.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because they don't like their definition of investment is like, okay, we're going to get this like little keychain of a cat. You know what I'm saying? You're going to like pray to this thing. Like I remember when I graduated, like all my grandparents gave me like little like Buddhist temple, like, you know, those little things with
the
like, I don't know what they're called in English.
I have a billion of those.
Yeah. And I'm like, but you could have put some money into like a fucking ETF or something. But you know what I mean? So like already we're so not on the same page about investing. For them, it's all about savings and stuff. So even though they are your parents, I do think it is tough to talk about investments and like crypto or whatever it is to them.
Crypto,
you know?
just I can't even get started with that conversation with them. But like my older sister, I have two sisters, but one of my sisters is a senior tax manager. Like she's like really knows what's up. And that's, I think, where I perhaps got more data for myself to kind of differ an opinion with my dad, because I see how stubborn he is with my sister. And I'm like, yo, my sister knows what's up. Like, come on. This is the most updated information. She's like working at like major corporations, trusted by them to lead their tax department.
Right.
And if my dad's still like, maybe we should do it like this, I'm kind of like, okay. I'm just going to observe. I'm going to respect, but we're all grown ass adults now.
Absolutely.
We have our own set of experiences, you know?
I have a question about, so it sounds like they were kind of okay with you doing what you wanted. It sounds like you already had a sister who's like working, and she had already had a job. So like, did that mean that when you decided to go into dancing, they realized that they allowed you to do that, or was there a choice, or
Hell no?
Was there a lot of
not.
Okay?
A lot of pushback, hardcore pushback. So my two older sisters, like they, I think their career decisions were way more pleasing to my parents, you know?
Right. Like, I wish I had kids or sisters that had, like, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Are you guys both only child? Or
no, I have a younger sister.
Oh, I see.
I have a younger sister, but she didn't become a doctor, but she married one, which is pretty good.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe better even. Maybe even better than going to med school herself. But no, please continue. The dancing journey. Yeah.
They kind of set the tone, and they're like 6 and 8 years older than me, so they like set the tone early game. And then I came along and I just kind of ruined like but then, you know, in an Asian family, I was the son. So like for that generation, they're like, that's what's important, right? And they were like, so you better, surpass your sisters in that way, you know? And I hella did not, right? Like they went to like UC Berkeley, then UCLA, and then Irvine, right? For Asian parents, even though I love UCI, but to Asian parents in the hierarchy, they're thinking like, okay, you just went to Berkeley, UCLA, son's gonna go to Stanford. You'll be the Ivy League one or whatever, in the way they saw shit. But yeah, I was always like my secret. That's why I never.
You know what's so
Wait,
funny?
Yeah.
But that's why you dance so hard.
What? Because why?
Because his sisters are like so successful in what they do,
Oh, so
and
he was finding his own thing.
Yeah, he's at Irvine. He's like, "Fuck! Now, how do I impress my parents?"
Well, you see that
myself?
kind of the Harvard of dance teams. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
Well,
they're better
I think
kind of.
you've made it that
For
I
that
think.
generation.
For
that generation,
it's
it
better
was.
because
Yeah.
my friend went to UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike Nguyen. He told me he went to Berkeley. He took a class of yours back in
Oh,
the day.
nice.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he was into dancing. All these West Coast Asian kids. So like, yeah, I do think because I don't think UC Berkeley has like a sick ass dance team. I don't know.
Well, now the
Acapella.
scene is different now.
scene is
The scene
different
has
now.
changed a lot.
It's like-
there's probably like a lot of talented dancers there, but
Yeah.
it's hard to say. It's hard to say. It's like sports teams.
Sure.
There's eras and
Wait,
Yes.
Yeah.
who's the best now? Is there like a best?
Which UC? Which
Well,
UC school is the best?
I guess you could say Orange County, but it's changed to where like now all like the best dancers like don't even stay with the college teams anymore. It's almost like imagine if that era, if I'm gonna use basketball terms,
Okay,
like
yeah.
imagine in that era there was only college basketball and there wasn't NBA yet for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just like the pinnacle. So all the best talent stayed on these college teams, right? The choreographic talent. But now in this new era, after like social media and like honestly, social media, YouTube, all this stuff allowed for dancers to have like personal careers. Because before, the pinnacle of a dance career was just servicing another artist. It was just, I'm Janet Jackson's choreographer. That's as high as you could go. There was just not a model for that to show your own work until like these dance TV shows, YouTube, Instagram, all that made it so like, oh, what if I just put out my own video, not choreographing for an artist? And so I feel like that spawned like an NBA. And
Okay.
so like now it's almost like they're just doing a year of college dance team and then they're already just going into the industry. So it's kind of different now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This makes sense
Interesting.
because right about when I like was looking at your stuff specifically on YouTube, I started following these two kids. I know that sounds mad creepy, but they're both super famous now. But
Yeah.
back then, I was in college. They're probably like in middle school. It's Sean Liu
Yep.
and Casey Rice.
Yeah.
They were so good. I was like, who are these little kids who are like amazing?
And
now they're like
full on phenom adults now.
crazy. They have their own careers, but
yeah.
that's interesting because in your day, like you couldn't really do that yet.
Yeah, it was so like kind of going off even you saying Steph, like that motivation to dance hard because of my siblings. Like I honestly, at least to what I'm like consciously aware of, I don't even think it was that. My dream, I couldn't even dream that far. So I literally just was like, my highest dance goal when I was in college was just, okay, if I get a job that gives me enough like time at night to be on a sick crew and just compete at the sickest competitions at night and just rep at night,
Yo.
that's the job that I want.
Yo, that's so cool.
That was truly, because I
That's
didn't
so
think you
pure.
could go any further. And for me, I wasn't interested in like choreographing for like Janet Jackson or something. Like I knew that existed. But I'm like, I don't know. That's just not for me, because there was still an underground scene of like crews competing and you knew about all these dancers if you're in the scene, but not all of them are doing it as their career. You know, it's just like this scene that existed.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, you told me, you said you got some backlash from your parents.
Yeah.
And people get that obviously when you do like the arts or music and stuff, but at
Yeah.
least there's like a path. Like, oh, you could be really good and go to Juilliard. There's like a path.
Yeah.
But for dancing, like to your point, like you can't even describe what that job is that pays good money.
100%.
Right? Like an actress,
Yeah.
you could be like, well, I want to be like, Julia Roberts. Okay, cool. That's at least a goal.
Yeah.
A target, you could be like, Mom, do you know Julia Roberts?
Yeah.
But you can't be like, I don't even know who a famous choreographer is, you know?
And I think like as far as like mainstream knowledge, for sure. Like there's barely any references. And I want to like clarify, even for my journey, it's more like hip hop and like freestyle modern based versus like more classical styles or like modern, like ballet. There's more clear cut like career paths for that.
Right.
I have to like at least give it up.
Nutcracker shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's more like, it's just based in theater. And so those like structures already exist. But like for our scene and our style,
Yeah.
it didn't really, unless you wanted to basically be a back dancer and choreograph. That was like the only pathway.
What kind of dance makes the most money?
I would say like being a choreographer is one huge, I know that's still not super specific in its style,
Yeah.
but at least in my hemisphere of dance, stylistically, choreographers is like a way more valuable skill set as far as like just straight up like monetary.
Well,
What the
how
big guns like
we
view
like, so,
as
like,
valuable.
We wanted you to be
choreograph-
like, we
Yeah.
wanted you to be like, it's Irish dancing. You know what I mean? Like it's river
Yeah.
dance. What, like, you know what I mean? Like, wait, is it tap dancing? What is it, man?
I wanted interpretive dancing
yeah,
to
what
win.
is it?
But basically stripping. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, but that was one, right? No, you can make probably a lot
A lot
really
of money.
fast. So like, say like a choreographer for, I don't know, like Doja Cat or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how much are they making and how does it work for them?
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's say like I'll just ballpark. Let's say like the biggest choreographers there. Now it's like a different climate too because music videos are kind of whatevers now. So I would say the biggest thing is like if you're choreographing a tour, that is like as a choreographer, that's freaking awesome because like it's the time that you have to put into that, like the rehearsals, the casting, production, and the higher the production level, then the higher the budget and the scale of the artist. And then if you're experienced, like that's basically what's going to pull you in onto those tours. Even if you make sick videos, at the end of the day, you're not going to get pulled into like those really big level tours unless like you go into those production meetings and they can feel your experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I would say I'll ballpark like they're definitely making let's say the tour, there's like rehearsals, like pre-pod is for like a month or 3 months. Anywhere from, I'm ballparking, but I
Sure.
would say like they better not be making less than like 150,000 from that like initial like
Dude, but I feel like that is even low. Like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
what
like,
I was
I watched
imagining, like-
Beyonce, and I'm like,
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
did that shit, right?
100%,
Beyonce,
100%.
There was that one woman from what's that team in New Zealand? The Royal Family,
Paris. Absolutely.
So she does the Rihanna
And
shit.
so I'm going like low end because I think that like there's a difference between you could still choreograph because I don't know who choreographs for Doja Cat and sometimes they're not pulling in always the big guns because what I feel like is a lot of artists go through stages. They'll like bring someone on for a while and then when they feel like I need a new vibe, they'll kind of switch choreographers or if they're like they might stick with that person, but then bring on a team of choreographers, something to like still re-energize the vibe. You know what I mean? Again, it's like, I think this is like the independent contractor life though, where like
Yeah.
there's still not one perfect way it always works out, right? There's like so many different pathways, but let me say like low end, like 150 for like something of that scale. But then I also have to say that the difference is even the low end being 150 is they can drop it off though. It depends on if versus like a dancer's going on tour. If they set it up, they can drop off and go on to the next project, right?
Oh, interesting.
So that's
okay.
still something that's different in terms of like their time. Totally depends on if like if they have the budget for that and
I
how
see,
they
I
do
see.
it, and then
Yeah.
also like their team. Like if it's like, maybe I'll send like my assistants to go on and
Got it,
you know what I
got it.
mean? Because it
Yeah.
also depends on that choreographer. Maybe they're like after Taylor Swift, they're gonna work on the Super Bowl with Usher, and
Yeah,
so they
right.
want to still be mobile. You know what I mean?
That's another 150 to
Yeah.
150.
Yeah.
But then it all depends on where they're at in their career because you
Right.
only know how to create that kind of like structure if you're like experienced and you have that kind of, because even like creating that internal infrastructure of a team and to do that on that scale, like you're not doing that at 18.
Right,
Unless
right,
you've
right.
been in the industry as a choreographer since you were 15, which there are some like anomalies, you know?
So,
yeah.
so do they keep the rights to the dance moves? Is
No,
there
no, you're
it's still
basically-
your,
yeah.
you're still the owner of the dance.
Unless you nowadays things are kind of changing, but I think it's very rare still, no matter what your
Yeah.
status is. At the end of the day, you're basically selling your.
That's the interesting
choreography.
chefs and choreographers because it's kind of like not like musicians. Like musicians have sheet music,
Yeah.
but with chefs and choreographers, like you can't like copyright your shit. So I wonder
Yeah.
like if that was ever an issue of people like jacking your style.
Oh, always,
you know what I mean?
always.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation right now too, where they're trying to choreograph it, and I think that's still, it's so tricky because dance at the end of the day is like, it's a little bit similar to language in terms of like writing is like you're using the same dictionary and it's just how you organize it, right?
Right.
So like copywriting is kind of, it starts to get a little bit difficult,
Right.
although people are trying right now. but I think AI is just coming in and like messing all that up
Messing it
anyways.
But you guys are
'Cause
safe
there's
from
no-
AI though.
Not really. Yeah.
I don't.
AI can dance better than you.
Well, the thing is, it will get to that point where like you'd be like, maybe I want a flavor of Doja Cat's choreographer, and then I want a little flavor of Taylor. And the more specific you get with the prompt, right? That's the whole thing, is right. If you're not specific with the prompt,
Yeah.
then it won't come out right. But if you get skilled enough at how to describe the choreography for the AI to understand, it could get there.
Oh my goodness, the robots are taking over
That's crazy.
everything. Well, I was going to ask you, I know you've been working in Korea a lot.
Yeah.
Your Korean is phenomenal, by the way, for someone who's from Torrance. I'm ashamed by that.
That tells me your Korean level, though. No disrespect, because people be dissing on my
Wait.
Korean hard.
Really? But
Yeah.
I've seen some of your, I've seen
But
some.
I appreciate that like so much.
Were you taking classes? Like, what is? No, you just
like,
kind of.
I mean, I went to like. Did you go to Hangulakyo like in
No,
Torrance and
I went to
stuff?
one church class where I learned how to write. But I was like 20 when I went, and I
So
took.
old.
And everybody else was like 7, 8 years old. It was just me sitting there.
Respect
Wait,
though.
that's cool that you
That's
went
what's
though.
up.
That's cool that you went. Good for
One
you though.
class. I was like gonna beat these little kids, like, and writing like the. But anyways, yes. I was gonna ask. In Korea,
Yeah.
I'm sure like the dance choreography, like structure, like for a K-pop group,
yeah.
are they getting paid differently if you choreograph like BTS?
Oh, just for anyone who's curious about like the state of the dance community and like the finances of dance.
Yeah.
Korea right now is like huge for the dance culture and the dance career. Huge.
Really?
Because the demand, like I think about every pop group that's coming out. Like that's just a signature of Korean K-pop, right?
Yeah.
Which is sick dance moves,
Yeah.
right? And then because they have that kind of funding, the infrastructure with all these labels is like hardcore VC, like all that. And so like even for us, like globally, a lot of choreographers, what they do is they source choreography just all overseas. They're basically just like, here's the song, here's the prompt, this is kind of the style we want it. We film the whole choreography as if we are the group. We just put like name tags on, you know what I mean? And we literally do the song and we just send it to them. And then like couple of weeks, months later, we're like, oh, the video's out. Oh, there it is.
Oh
and that's
my
like the
God.
model for K-pop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. You're saying these
Fascinating.
choreographers are Korean, or Korea's buying it from other?
They're buying it from all around the world. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how is the pay work? It's per like choreography,
Yeah,
per
per song.
dance,
Per
per
song.
song.
And it's how we negotiate it too. But essentially, what we work into the rate is like we handle everything. Like we're going to cast it, all the rehearsals, the dancer pay, even just media, like capturing the footage, editing. So everything is like one lump budget because they just want to be like, tell us what you need to get this done, basically.
Right,
And
right.
we just have to just make it all happen on our
Have
end.
you done something like that with the KINJAZ?
Oh, we do it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say which groups you sold for?
Yeah. Like personally, I've worked with like Super M, that's SM.
Yeah.
Winner, GOT7.
This is crazy.
Yeah. I will share one thing though. So this whole like K-pop model of like a bank transfer and you get the video and then you just drop it off and you're like, okay, let's see what happens. And then it just happens. You're like, whoa, this crazy production.
Yeah.
Like it's, what the freak? And it's just like, that just is a regular process for choreographers around the world. But what's changed now is that that happened, I would say, for like probably like a decade, from like 2009 to like 2019, I would say. And then I'm like ballparking. And then during the pandemic until now, a new thing that happened is that we'll like send choreography. And then usually, you know, sometimes people will post like, oh, this music video came out. They're just like promoting their work that they worked on it because they can't, a lot of it's sensitive. So they can't like post rehearsal videos all the time, right?
Right.
But when they post that, and even when we posted stuff sometimes, we'll be like, wait, what the heck? Why is like another person saying they choreographed that also? And then another person, but then we're like looking at it and we're like, oh wait, they're only using some of our choreography and we don't know what this other parts are. So now they're mishmashing.
Oh
They're like,
my
oh,
God.
it's like a buffet. They're just like, why don't we have these 4 choreographers on the song? Whatever sections we like, we're gonna go chicka 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 chicka.
Holy
yeah.
They're
shit.
Frankensteining
Yeah,
something
yeah.
out of
That's
your music.
money, bro.
Exactly, but that
That's
just goes to
money.
show, like, man, their budgets have really skyrocketed. But I think it's, you know, it's just interesting. I think it's they're getting more particular with what they want as well. So it's just putting a little more power into the label's hands as well. And they're just like, yo, I think we want it to be like this. We want a little bit of this flavor, and they put it all together. And
This is crazy because I always thought, in terms of entertainment things, America always spent the most money, you know, because, for example, I know that for like TV writing, I know for a fact that TV writers in Japan make shit, but TV writers in America make a lot of money. You know, so I thought it was like that with dance and stuff as well, and music too, because, you know, I mean, I think BTS as an organization probably makes more money than Beyonce, but those members individually, I don't know. Like, I know they have, you know, with those schools, with the labels and
Is
stuff like
that
that.
true? Do they make more as an entity than you
Probably-
think
I mean,
Beyonce?
with all the merch and stuff.
all I know is BTS. If you even just go to like Hybe is the label. Just go to their website, and it's so. I was like pretty surprised that it's like. It's just built for like portfolio, and we're just trying to talk to VCs. Like, that's just the point of this website. And all the numbers are super transparent. The numbers are right there. Here's our earning, but it's also a big flex. Like, this is what we made last year. And I was just like,
Right.
wow,
That's,
respect.
that's BTS Corporation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. I don't know.
And not just BTS. Now they have like New Jean. You know, they have
Yes,
so
yes.
many other.
Oh, New
they're
Jean, dude.
crushing it.
Yeah, they're killing.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
fascinating.
I do want to ask you about like different ways dancers can make money. Obviously, like now it's changed, but you know, like obviously back in like there were competition shows like America's Best Dance Crew. There was a recent one called like World of Dance that I've seen like really famous people on. You know, I guess these are little ways that dancers can get attention and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do those like even A, do they pay well, and B, we're not, you know, we were joking about this, but we're like, okay, even if you like you got, I think you guys got like second or something.
Yeah.
Let's say you got 10,000, whatever.
I
you
got
gotta
to rub
split
that
it.
in his face.
You
like
got
No, I love it. I love talking about that actually.
But I was so mad. I was mad about that. I was mad about that. I texted.
I love that you've just brought that up.
I texted for you guys. I was a big Cobra Modern head. All right.
I
appreciate it. No, I feel the
But
love. Thank
we
you.
were
Wait, did
joking
you do
about-
a dance? Did you do one dance? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
well,
interrupted. Can
well
you
we like
practice?
we would try to copy your dances, but this is before like people would post up
what?
choreo. But we weren't even dancers. We were in a marching band. We're
I
just like,
love
this
to
is
hear it.
crazy.
I love to hear it.
Marching
Marching band's
band?
legit.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But the thing is, okay, let's say you get whatever money. Let's just say that it's even $100,000.
Yeah.
Now, but there's like 20 of you in your crew, so
Yeah.
like you gotta split that shit 20
Yeah,
ways.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how do you even? You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
yeah, totally. Okay, that was a lot of questions in one. I'm trying to understand where to start. I'll start with just the base level. How do dancers make money in regards to even TV shows in comparison?
yes.
I'll start there. Like now, if I had to like break it up categorically, it would be there's like theater, right? You could like be a performer, and that's still something that's not as much my experience, you know, like the ballet, like classical world. So I can't speak on that as much. But I am just aware that like you basically train your ass off to join like a high level company, and then I'm sure you're on some sort of payroll because they're performing regularly, right? That's like one pathway. As far as like what I'm super familiar with and what my journey has been, as a choreographer, there's teaching. That's like a new thing.
Yeah.
And I say new because that's always existed. But for that to be your livelihood, I think is something that came about more so around like the 2008 era.
Okay.
Like dance TV shows, YouTube, like IG, like really taking off at that time because people were able to brand themselves. And then it allowed a lot more people, like the floodgates in for people, like democratize, just like how YouTube did for so many other creators.
Right.
Same thing happened with dance, right? Whereas before, you didn't have that huge demand for your class. But once people started like making their own brands, then there's like all these international conventions, and there's like a whole global dance scene where they're like bringing you out to teach. And that was my experience where even after we did the first season of America's Best Dance Crew with Cabo Modern, my OG college crew, and I was a senior in college at UCI at that time. And again, no expectations of career, nothing. Just like, this is fun, sick. But I was also like posting videos to YouTube at that time. And then I started getting like inquiries from overseas, like Broken English is like, you want to come teach at dance camp? And yeah.
So it did open up opportunities for you.
And then like I was part of the first generation of like I think personally branded dancers that were like teaching at these conventions. I know that it happened before, but it was always like you're Justin Timberlake's choreographer, Janet Jackson's, and that was like the headliners for those conventions. But then I would say 2008, around that era, with like a lot of my peers, we kind of were the first ones to kind of go out and, you know, sometimes go to sketchy ass cities, promoters. You know, we didn't know. We were like the first gen of like, oh snap, we're gonna go out here and teach at these camps, and then you start to realize, oh, this is pretty legit. This is fun.
Yeah.
And then it starts to build up once other countries started hearing about those camps, like maybe we should create our own conventions. And then it became this global circuit. And then for a couple of years, that just became my livelihood. I was just kind of like traveling every weekend to like teach at these conventions. And I was like, oh man, that's my livelihood.
You're doing it.
I'm like teaching.
Yeah.
That's
so
the main thing.
how much were you making? Like if you were to go to one, like what
Yeah.
was the first time you made money dancing?
Okay, mine is like super low level stuff, aka like I used to teach at like the Arc at UCI.
Oh, yes. I think that was the time I seen you. Yeah.
The Arc is the gym at UCI for anyone who doesn't know.
Jim.
But like I would say something like a paycheck that meant something. It was actually still before teaching. It was when we were performing with Cabo Modern. Like after ABDC, there was like this stint where like we were getting like performance inquiries.
Okay.
And we would like do like a lot of like Asian clubs.
Yeah,
Wait, colleges.
Colleges.
Not just colleges, no. Like okay, colleges, but also
nightclubs.
like nightclubs.
Oh,
And we
shit.
did like a nightclub tour for like 2 years. So that was like the first ones where we were getting like just performance checks. So that was like a first era.
That's fucking cool though.
Like were you
Yeah.
getting paid like $1,000?
Yeah, like honestly, we
it was, like-
actually and like for that era, it was pretty dope.
It was good.
Where like we would go for a weekend, and I was in college, and like everyone would come home with like we just performed like basically like a 5-minute dance number at a club, all expenses paid, and everyone comes home with like a G, and that's like still
That's
enough
huge.
to still accounting for management and other expenses. You know what I mean?
Okay, so how does it work like that? So like if you're a leader of a dance crew,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're choreographing more of it and like also
do you take more-
managing like more of it. So do they take more of a percentage than everyone else, or is that all system different per?
It's different.
Okay.
So there's not like a market like consensus on that. I
Okay.
think there's kind of a common
But
sense
typical,
on it.
yeah.
But like that's I would say is like one of the hardest things about even the dance community now, which
Yeah.
is there is no still, and I talk about this now a lot actually with like a lot of community leaders still, and even people who are like crushing it right now, that there's no map, there's no guideline.
Yeah.
And so like our generation, like my generation of choreographers, and not to say I want to pay respect to like all the generations and generations and generations of choreographers before us, of course, but my generation is just the first ones to like personally brand themselves, to be lucky enough that technology allowed for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, I think there was some who just personally branded themselves, but some of them that tried to make companies, right? And I think as we tried to make companies, because there isn't really like a guideline, so many mistakes have been made, so many even things that don't last, models that work amazing for a bit, but then because dance has so many inherent difficulties with the industry itself. By difficulty, I mean like, for example, copyright, music copyright is like the biggest, like, it's like the anchor that pulls it down because the idea of ownership, and it's always tied to music. And so if you don't have if you don't have that figured out, some sort of ownership of your music, if you're trying to really beyond just like because I feel like nowadays, especially with TikTok, you could have like a big explosion for a couple of years, right? But I think if you're trying to go for the long haul and you're trying to last through all the seasons, I think anyone who is experienced in dance understands that to have ownership, like you don't have full ownership without the music rights. And that's always an issue when you're choreographing for something.
Wow, that
And
makes
so you have to always have some sort of partnership. You have to figure out something with music, whether you learn it yourself or you have a partnership with,
Wow, so you need to be connected with other musicians or people that make music, essentially, to be able to have that.
For sure.
Oh,
that's
makes
a
sense.
big
Symbiotic.
yeah.
I always wondered why on those shows I'm like, why don't you just dance to some T-Pain? It was always like they would always do it was like half T-Pain but like half original stuff, and I'm like,
because they're
what's
always
this
trying to
original
license
shit?
it. Yeah,
I know, like I don't want to hear this original
Wait,
shit.
that's why they brought in the beatboxer dude. So he could be there.
Oh my god, MC copyright.
Yeah.
Should we move up to the unofficial analysis?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did categorize all your spendings. This is your spendings from the last 3 months, and you shared with us 2 different cards.
Yeah.
Do you share finances or like the
yeah,
cards
So
with
what
your
context?
wife?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
it does. Okay, I was curious about this.
Yeah.
The
so
wife.
you share with the wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
So only one of those cards. So out of the 2 cards, one is my personal, and then the other one that feels like it's more repeated expenses. That's the one with my wife.
Gotcha.
We have a joint credit card. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so it's 1 month, 2 cards, 2 people. You spent a total of about $9,600, which honestly
not
across 2 people is
bad.
not
No,
that
not
crazy.
at
That's like
all.
1.5 people though, right?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's only part for one of them. It's only
it's only
Pat.
the other one.
That's
Yeah,
true. So yeah, I mean, this is just like some of your money spent by category. I don't know if this is anything is gonna catch you off guard, but you spent about $3,100 on travel, $2,100 on food and drinks, $977 on groceries, and this one kind of surprised me. $863 on like pet related expenses. You spent almost as much as groceries on pets.
Yep. That tracks.
Health and wellness, $750.
Yep.
Shopping, about $600. Bills, $440. Gas, auto maintenance, $240. Entertainment and like education, $205. Professional services, $200. Fees, $44, and then donations, $22. So any of that is that vibing with you?
Honestly, that all tracks. Like I feel like pet fees is more like that's kind of just their
Yeah,
seasonal.
what is
like,
that? What's going on? You have a lot of dogs?
No, I just
Just
have
one.
I just have one dog, but you know he's got health issues.
You guys-
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. There was one like Pasadena thing that was like a lot of money. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
if
thought it was
food
like
or
10 different Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
Just like, you do
yeah,
seem like
We're
somebody
just
who
going
would.
on.
You're just going off on every. You're like, I want to see him as Willy Wonka.
I don't know the breakdown, but I will say like we do buy him like really nice quality food.
Oh, like the organic
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
that's
Just food for
bagged.
dogs is what we get him, but yeah, I'm pretty sure one of those spikes is because he's
Oh,
it's just
poor
getting him like
guy.
tests and stuff. Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you ever think about getting insurance for your pet?
I don't know if
I've
KINJAZ Corporations has that.
Yeah,
you know?
I haven't even given that thought, but maybe if it gets to a certain point, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Food actually. I have a question for you guys.
Oh yeah.
I know that like my food is probably I feel like I don't splurge crazy. I feel like I'm pretty
you really
reasonable.
don't.
Yeah,
You really
Pretty
don't.
I'm a pretty
responsible.
like reasonable with my money. However, food is like my big, I feel like my guilty pleasure. And so I'm just curious, compared to your other guests' expenditures, how does my food spending?
Well, the fact that you're
It's
under
not-
1,000 is already amazing.
Yeah,
Most
this
people
is
are
crazy.
like, I'm talking people who don't like are younger than us,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
own any companies or anything.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're easily going 1,300 on Seamless.
Oh yeah.
Or DoorDash, you know.
Are you
Easily.
being considerate when you like? Are you like, I don't care? I feel like when you're buying at a restaurant, or do you get whatever you want all the time, or do you like consider money when you're
you know what?
ordering food?
Actually, that is something that like now what I'm considerate of is I just eat out less. I cook way more now. I used to go crazy on my I used to just like splurge and my appetite's very large. Like I'll eat like 2 to 3 entrees by myself at a sitting sometimes.
Yeah,
Like,
because you're burnt. You're like Michael Phelps, right? he eats like 5,000 to 10,000 calories because he's like his muscles and the way it works. You're an athlete essentially. So
I mean,
you
I
eat-
wouldn't put myself on Michael Phelps level. I love to agree and just take
Michael
that.
Jordan, Michael Phelps, Michael Salmon, bro. You know
Thank
that.
you.
Bro, Chicago
I
Bulls,
wish-
U.S. Olympics, Cabo Modern, bro.
You gotta eat. You gotta
I
eat
wish I could claim
as
that.
hard as you dance and Millie Rock as hard.
I wish I could claim that, but I did used to eat like really crazy. But once I had to like be like, okay, in recent years, like we just moved to Pasadena, and that was like a big like, okay,
big
now we gotta
move.
watch our
That's-
money.
that's
it's a
level
big
up.
move. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was like with that lifestyle change, it was like, okay, now we got to start saving our money in a different way. you
Yeah,
know?
that did turn me on about the good spending. You don't
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Your most expensive thing was like a flight or something. You probably went to
Yeah.
Korea that was over
Yeah,
$1,000.
yeah,
We
yeah.
have some turn me ons and turn me offs when we look at your statements.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's a few things that turned me off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me.
I
we got the exact
initially,
numbers
yeah,
here,
we
bro.
actually, the first thing immediately was I noticed you were in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying crazy foreign transaction fees.
69
like,
times.
Bro, Like,
But what does that add up to though?
$44.
$44, but the fact is, you could be using that $44 for dog costumes or another meal at your favorite restaurant.
I
So
don't
I
think
need to be
about
using
that.
my foreign currency. Is
No,
what you're saying?
no, I'm saying no.
Like, I need
That's
to get that?
crazy. You need to get a credit card that allows you to not have foreign transaction fees.
But it's interesting that he says that because I did have that initial reaction. But for example, you get a Chase Reserve or Sapphire, those cost money to have that card, to not have. But he only spent $44, which is
No.
cheaper
Yeah.
than the cost of the card.
No, hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna recommend the Amex Platinum to you. We are not sponsored, but they should, because I saw you also paid for global entry, which is $100. If you had this credit card, it would be free. Okay, you probably also have a subscription, like you could get free subscription to Paramount and Walmart. You can also get the no transaction fees when you're using this card. What?
It's like it sounds like an ad, but we're not getting paid for it.
It's
actually-
sponsored by.
It's actually gonna piss me off that we're not getting paid by it.
His silence made me recognize that he's getting like the
Not at
Asian
you.
father silence.
At Amex, I'm getting pissed at Amex for not. But
It
yeah,
essentially will cover at the end if you use enough of like the certain fees, it gets covered by the fee of the credit card at the
I've
end.
just been on my credit card game like right now, and I've been looking into credit cards. This is an interesting conversation.
you're late.
We just
bro.
going for
You're
KINJAZ.
late, bro.
Yeah,
You're
for
so
mine
late.
late, but KINJAZ we just got a new one.
You
yeah,
could be getting
Oh,
these
okay.
things for free.
Yeah.
Do you not have a
I was looking at
lounge?
I was looking at the United one actually,
Oh, okay.
just because for like my travels these days, I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what, I want to like do my
Rack up
hack
points.
where I'm just always flying first class.
Oh, for sure.
I want to figure that out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
because I'm flying a lot, and a lot of the times, even on some of these Asia trips, I end up like, even when I'm already out there, I end up buying flights to extend my stay because all this new stuff ends up happening, and I'm like, oh snap, I'm actually just gonna buy another flight and leave this day instead. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see, I see.
And so because it's like I'm in this transient season, I'm kind of like, and yeah, I'm more interested in that. And I'm like, okay, I'm racking up my miles like crazy right now.
Okay. You know what was a turn off for me? Lionheart Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Why is that a turn off?
$175.
That's a turn off?
Bro.
How is that a turn off?
Because me and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu have beef, bro.
What?
Because
That's a turn off?
Yeah. You like
just
guys that
'cause-
do BJJ?
I don't know what the fuck that is. That sounds like a bukkake or something, and you're trying to
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Brazil. No, that's a hot. First of all, Brazil.
You think that's hot? Say that
Wait,
to the
what?
camera. You're the first woman on the internet to think that that's hot.
I wouldn't say she's the first to say that. But
No.
Yeah, we're both like defending Brazilian
I think it's a New York thing. It's
First
like
of
a
all-
known thing to shit on people who do Brazilian
Really?
Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah.
Okay.
It's because of Joe Rogan. It's because of.
okay, so it's tied to
and
Joe
it's
Rogan.
like,
I see.
It's like not even. It's just like that's all you talk
Yes,
about.
yes,
You talk
yes,
about
yes,
that
yes.
and
Yes,
and
yes,
fighting
yes.
bears. You know. Yeah. It's like
Okay.
it's like a toxic thing. You know.
I think the idea that anything Brazilian is hot. Like I don't even really know what Brazilian jiu-jitsu is, but the
Yeah.
fact that it says Brazilian, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
bye, Ada.
Okay, fine. Well, you and
know?
Jose Rogan, go ahead. We can go make out
Oh
in the
my
corner.
god, these like differing perspectives on BJJ is hilarious. It's just so
The internet, come at me, bro.
So
Come at me.
so you take classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a dance element to it, right?
A
Or
little
have you
bit.
done capoeira?
I haven't done it. I'm like familiar with capoeira,
Yeah.
but like I wouldn't say jujitsu or BJJ is like dancing at all, like in that way, the way that capoeira is, because capoeira is like very much so connected to dance, whereas BJJ is not. But there's just a lot of parallels.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, you know what made me sad about your statement?
Yeah.
You only took one dance class on October 14th. Urban
yeah.
dance play.
Yeah.
Take a dance.
Oh yeah, and that's
class?
even
Well,
super
well, so
random.
Do you
yeah.
take comedy classes?
Well, so I was going to ask you about
Yeah.
this. I know you're a master,
Yeah.
but to your point, like comedians still do like shitty shows and try out material.
That's different.
Yeah.
A class is different.
But is that not the class for dancers? Is that not the open mic for dancers?
Well, at least so I'm like very, very fortunate to be in a crew with a bunch of dancers that I think are freaking sick. So we always are like training each other.
oh, training each
Yeah,
other.
right.
Oh, so you don't have to go.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
that's
gotcha.
at least I always could, but here's the other conduit to that. When I teach at conventions, like one's huge perk, and that's a huge thing in this whole dance rabbit hole of this generation of choreographers, is that what propelled these choreographers is that once you started teaching at these international conventions, you're fucking in Germany for a week and you're at a dance convention, you get to learn while you're there. Like, what the hell else am I gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna take class from this ill person from Germany, from this ill person from Japan. So it's built into your work training.
So you're always practicing.
So you're not even having to pay for that. You're just there.
Oh, that's really cool.
So it's really baked into the lifestyle for choreographers. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So actually, that one dance class is super rare because like I haven't paid for a dance class in a long ass time. Because even the times I do in LA, I usually know the studio owners or I know the teacher and they have a guest spot. So that one is super random because it's actually this like so random, but this dancer that I've been watching that I haven't met, but he's just been on my radar. This guy from Denmark, he came to he was in Korea the same weekend. He's not even Korean. He just came for one weekend, and we'd been DMing each other like, "Yo, let's connect." And he said, "Yo, I'm gonna be in Korea," and I was like, "What? I'm in Korea right now."
Whoa!
And so I hit up this dance studio in Korea, and they were also like, "What the hell?" Like, Mike's gonna take class at our random ass studio. This is so random for them too.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, can I like actually sign up for this class? And so like that was just actually a super random
that's cool,
occurrence. Yeah.
Wow,
Wow.
how beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that the internet can just connect to all sorts of people in the same.
Yeah, but it is
Very
kind of
beautiful.
like adorable / dorky to be like, let's connect. Can I take your class?
Can we do
Yeah,
it?
like that's
Definitely.
dance culture. I know it feels weird, but for dancers, it
I know,
is
but
like
that's
that.
the
yeah.
whole like the dancer culture
Yeah.
is a little nerdy and that like they're always
it's
learning.
very soft. Like
Yeah.
even versus like freestyle dancers and choreographers, and there's even still a difference in culture for sure. Like freestyle battlers, it's almost like music, like a freestyle rapper versus someone who's just writing songs.
Right.
There's like different cultures to it, right? And I think that like with choreographers, it's very friendly.
You know what's interesting? I categorize your food by price, how much you spend on each category, but also by category I mean cuisine, but also by frequency.
Oh, okay.
And this is why I think DoorDash is so dumb, or maybe that eating in other countries is cheap. But like you ate at obviously you were in Korea,
Yeah.
so you ate out in Korea 19 times,
Mm-hmm.
and you only ordered delivery in the same month 9 times,
Mm-hmm.
but that delivery cost you $613, and then what you spent in Korea was about like a little over 300 USD.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised by that only because the US dollar is so much stronger in
stronger.
Korea right now. So I'm like stoked.
You're
Every time
fucking-
I'm buying food, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
3 meals is like one like pitiful DoorDash order.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything is a lot cheaper. The coffees are also cheaper.
Yeah.
But he went.
He
He did a lot of Korean food, which you like, Steffi.
Dude, you're the first person to come finally and tell us that you're the number one type of cuisine is Korean.
Number 1.
Most everyone's, it's like they've gone like once through the month. But maybe we haven't had many Koreans. Is that what it is?
Well, you know
No.
what? Like I have to admit, in America, I don't buy that much Korean food.
Because do you make it?
Um,
Is your wife Korean?
no, she's Chinese.
Okay.
And she doesn't eat that much Korean food. And so actually I'm like kind of deprived, but sometimes I'd be cooking Korean food for myself a lot. Just like straight up for myself,
What are you
not for her.
making?
Yeah.
Like jjigae?
Like so I do all sorts of variations of japchae, like the noodles. I know it's so random,
What do you mean?
but like so like the glass noodles, the sweet potato noodles, that's like my shit because like I'm trying to like cut my carbs and like spiking
Yeah.
like blood sugars and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And like white rice is like
It's the
alright,
death.
even
It's
though
the
I
death,
love
bro.
it,
It's
but
the
I used to
death.
just eat that like crazy, and I was like, I need some sort of substitute that's bomb. And so like as I'm like seeking out different substitutes, I was like, wait, what the freak? Like sweet potato noodles are like this unexplored thing that people only treat it. Yeah, truly, because people just view it like japchae, but that's just a way to flavor it. But it's just not like mainstream.
This is the most dad thing I've heard. In my life. What the hell is he talking about?
This is the turn off.
World class dancer. This world class dancer I looked up to is doing 20 minutes on sweet potato noodles. What the hell is this?
He's
man?
like picking them up.
The super turn off.
He's like, oh, look at the transparency of this glass noodle. At 97 degrees, it is
You
perfectly
laugh
cooked.
now. You
So
laugh
funny.
now, but I guarantee you, if you tried some of the shit that I'm making with sweet potato noodles, I guarantee you'd be like, wait a minute, like there's so much variation here. Why the fuck am I only going with like this white rice and I'm feeling so bad and guilty all the time? When you're like, wait, if I just flavor this a different way, this shit is bomb and literally zero guilt, no
Okay.
portion control. I can go off.
Wow, that was so hard of you.
Wow.
Do you guys ever get into arguments about purchases? Like, how do you, like, when you want to purchase something like big, like something like a furniture that you fucking love, do you guys have to talk about it? How does it?
So the way we do, like even for example, one of those cards, which is the joint, like we actually like consulted like a financial like advisor, thinking that like maybe we should get one, and then honestly, she told us something that made us go, oh, let's just do that. And you gave us the advice. That's like the model that we really like.
What was it?
Which was just straight up, like we have a separate, so we have our own personal accounts and we just do our thing. And then we have a joint account. But the only purpose for that joint account is that we have a joint credit card. And the joint credit card is for our joint things. Like, for example, like groceries, like things that we share, right? And all we do is monthly. We just look at so that we don't have to track it. It's just for our joint expenses.
Yeah.
And then all we do, the only purpose for our joint account is we look at the monthly and then we go, oh, we split it down the middle and we just go, hey, we both owe this for the joint credit card. And that's it. And it's just for that. We don't have to like track how we did those expenses because
there's no Google Sheets. Yeah. I do the Google Sheets method, but that
because we kind of know ourselves. We're not like the best with all that.
Yeah.
But we're like, oh, that's something that's realistic to us, but it'll just track itself. It's because it won't get muddled with any other expenses.
Wow. Okay, so a piece of furniture might go into that category.
For sure.
But you have to ask each other.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
I know it's so boring. Huh? You guys are giving me a like,
I was like,
this is so boring.
What are you guys fucking arguing about at home? Toilet paper? What kind of toilet paper? Why'd you buy Charmin?
What kind of car are you driving? Because I noticed that it's like about $100 to fill up your gas.
Oh yeah.
Time.
Well, my car. So like I just like lost my car now, or it's dead now. So basically, I had a Cadillac that I wasn't making. It was like fully paid off since 2014, and that was like
Escalade?
my baby. No, it was CTS.
Okay.
It was my baby. I had it since 2008. Fully paid off around like 2014, I think, and then it's been going strong until now. And then just recently, I had to it died. It died for good.
So you're gonna get a new car?
Yeah. So I'm like.
Is that why you're Ubering?
Because that's why I'm Ubering a lot.
I was confused. I was like, why is this man has a car? But he also spent
Yeah. Men should not.
No, you spent $430 on rideshare. But you have a car, so I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
What cars are we looking at?
So I was loving on Tesla until I took a road trip with a Tesla. And then I'm like, oh, hell no for road trips. And I love road trips. It's not the way. It's just so inconvenient in a lot of different ways. So now I'm like, so I want some sort of hybrid, but I still don't know because like I'm gone for like months at a time still right now. So I'm also like, I can kind of hang on right now and not because the market's so bad.
It's crazy.
Also.
It's crazy right now.
So I'm kind of like, all right. And like my wife also travels for long periods at a time. So it's kind of worked out sometimes where we're still just like a 1-car household and she's gone. Like, for example, next month I'm gone. And when I get back, she's gone for the rest of the month. And so like, we're still like, we're basically budging it out. Where we're like, when do we actually need 2 cars? Yeah.
That's actually, that might be you might be fine. Like it might be just long-term cheaper to just Uber. A couple $100 here and there is not.
And like my dad owns a gas station too. So like that's been the other thing.
Wait, he's hooking you up with the gas?
You get free gas?
Yeah. So like when I go,
You act like we were gonna get the free gas too. Did you see the way he looked at me?
No,
Wait, that's a crazy plug.
Yeah, so that was my other thing.
Wait.
So like I wasn't making car payments and then I would just go to the gas station. And not always because it's still like on the other side of town, but when I needed to, because it's close to the airport also, that would be my kink.
But is your dad paying for it?
Yeah, my dad's paying for it.
Oh, I see.
But like still, you know,
out of the
I scratch his back too when he travels and when I still handle stuff with the gas station.
That's the trade.
I'm like, yo,
Oh my god, dude! I feel like in this economy,
that's insane.
fuck marrying a doctor. You gotta marry a guy who owns a motherfucking Shell, dude.
Holy shit! You're the prince of a gas station.
Oh my god, he's the prince of a gas station. Oh my god!
Holy shit! Gas?
I didn't even think about that. That's
Never
incredible.
ever.
That's incredible. Wow. Okay.
Wait, so just really quickly, do you have family members who are trying to always get free gas? Like, is this like a thing where it's like people keep wanting free gas?
No, because like most of my like in terms of not immediate families in Korea, so really it's just me and my siblings, and then
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's easy.
Crazy.
Wow.
That was wild.
I know you.
That was the one thing we got.
Yeah, that was
that
like the thing you guys got most excited about. This entire thing, we're talking about the global dance industry, K-pop, everything, free gas.
My heart jumped.
Bro, you can get whatever car. Do you
saw-
think he'd get pissed if you got like a Ferrari? Like, I'm assuming Ferraris just like to eat
Or
gas,
premium gas
and
shit.
you kept coming back trying to get getting free. Do you think that?
No,
You don't abuse it, I'm guessing.
No, I wouldn't abuse it, but I think my dad, he knows. He also I've helped out my dad a lot over the years too.
Aw,
So
thank
he-
you. So now that you've been on Cash Cuties, there's nothing you're gonna change financially.
What
It
do you-
sounds like your
Have you
life
learned
is
anything?
already.
Have you learned anything?
Yeah, what have you learned from this
In
pod?
conclusion, how you
He's too
feeling?
organized. I feel like he already
no,
has everything.
I don't want to
set.
give off the fact. I don't
wanna
want to come
give
off as if I'm super organized. But what did I learn?
I just feel like people who are like
That we like free gas.
I feel like if you're really good at finger tutting, you have to be good at Excel.
I mean, I would say. I mean, the main thing you got me thinking about. Actually, I don't know. To be honest.
He's like, I actually don't think about this at all. This is a
I
huge
would
waste
say
of time.
I got more out of listening to all the episodes, and that also brought me into this.
The other episodes.
But because that clued me in, because
Sure,
that's
sure.
just so much other data of how they speak about their careers, and then that's probably more
Also, to be
informative
honest,
for me.
Sometimes we make this joke about how we if you're being bad financially, we spank you. But the thing
There's
is, you
nothing
get
to
audited.
spank.
You already got spanked by the government.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think
that-
ever since then, you're probably just
That definitely, I would say, is probably the biggest. We had to put on our big boy shoes.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that kind of changed everything and was the biggest pill to swallow,
All
and
right.
we are still
Okay.
dealing with. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, that was amazing
That was
to have
amazing.
you. I feel like I learned a lot from you and about dance. There's so I just feel like I have so many more dance questions, just about how it's
Yeah.
the industry of it. But
We're gonna have you back.
yeah.
This was
Have another KINJAZ guy.
good
I have
vibe.
all of
Thanks
them.
for having me.
No, this is amazing. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug and let our audiences know, where they could find you in
I
your
mean,
work?
you can find me at all my handles are Mike O Song on all platforms, and you can follow KINJAZ KINJAZ on all platforms as well to find out about what we're up to.
They be dancing. Please follow us on all of social platforms at Cash Cuties Pod. We're on TikTok and Instagram. You can also follow me at the Fumi Abe. That's TheFumiAbe.
And you can follow me on Baked Goods on Instagram, BAIKEDGUDS, and go onto my website, SteffiBake.com for more information.
Hell yeah.
And
Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/CashCutiesPod for bonus episodes. Shout out to our sound engineer, Domagoy, our analyst, Holly, and our video editor, Matthias.
Yeah.
Roll
You know what
balls.
I'd like to do on our Patreon is now that I'm inspired, we should learn one of his dances and then we'll put it on our Patreon.
We'll put it on our Patreon. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll charge us
And
$50.
he's gonna charge us for no. I'm saying we could watch one of his tutorials.
yeah,
I'm not telling you
yeah.
we're gonna keep him at
I
our
thought
place.
that's what you were saying.
No, I'm gonna
He was
keep you
getting
here.
nervous. He's like, I don't want to do that at all.
I want to see that.
Anyways, all right, Cuties,
yeah.
we love you. We'll see you next week. Until then, spend your money wisely.
Or don't. Have fun with it. Bye.